So I've reviewed a number of EasySMX controllers on the channel, some targeting a more casual player base, while others are definitely more aimed at those who spend lots of time gaming. But by and large, I've always felt that there's something missing from their previous controllers. But today I'm checking out this, the D10 by EasySMX, and on paper, it looks to offer everything you could possibly want from a Pro controller. It has TMR thumbsticks, programmable back buttons, instant triggers, a built-in battery, charging stand, RGB lighting, and is cross-platform compatible. But is it the EasySMX controller for you? Well, today I aim to find out. To do this, I will be reviewing the EasySMX D10 in the usual 4 main categories, talking pros and cons in each, all before giving my overall thoughts at the end. EasySMX have also been kind enough to offer my subscribers a 15% discount just by using this code right here if you do decide to pick one up. Now, with all of that out of the way, let's get into it. So like I said in the intro, we will be reviewing the D10 in 4 categories, starting with the price and anything that's included with a purchase. Secondly, the design and key features, talking over the best attributes the controller possesses. Thirdly, the customization, mentioning any cosmetic changes available to us, as well as anything that affects gameplay. And then finally, we have the playtest. How is it under use? So how much does it cost then? Well, in the UK, it will set you back around £45. The US, $60, and the EU, about €55. But remember, I do have a discount code available, which does knock a bit off the top. And what do we get included with a purchase then? Obviously, we get the gamepad. Secondly, this charging stand, a USB Type-C cable, a wireless dongle for connecting to PC, and of course, the instruction manual. So as with most EasySMX controllers, we get pretty decent value when it comes to the overall package. Now, we aren't supplied any additional accessories like thumbstick caps or even a secondary set of thumbsticks, which is sometimes the case. But I think we are given a great bang for buck nonetheless. But now I feel it's time to switch gears and talk about what the D10 offers us as a controller. Let's move on to the design and key features. Starting with the general look of the controller, and I'm a little bit torn. As with most EasySMX gamepads, it's very reminiscent of the Xbox controllers. Same thumbstick placement and by and large, same button layout. The front of the controller sports a two-tone design, and I'm a fan of the green and white contrast. However, I'm not so much of a fan of the grey that they have used on the rear. It takes away from the overall look of the controller if you ask me, and I would have preferred if they had continued with the green and white colour scheme. We also have silver triggers, bumpers, as well as the D-pad. And the prior also have some texturing for added grip, which I always appreciate. This is also found on the edges of the thumbsticks as well as on the grey underside of the side grips. It is minimal and it doesn't feel as secure in hand as compared to gamepads with rubberized side grips, but I am glad they are here nonetheless. Now there is actually another 2 versions of this controller, one that comes in purple and white and also an all black one, so do remember that they are available if you so wish to choose one of them instead of the green and white. You may have also noticed the word Wartanen on the front of the controller, as well as what looked like coordinates. Now I did a bit of digging and I believe this is referring to a comet and its discoverer. I'm not sure about the relevance, but there you go, a nice little Easter egg for you to check out. Moving on to the features that the D10 has to offer us, and to be honest, it's pretty stacked. It has TMR thumbsticks, which like Holotech sticks means no stick drift, but also with greater precision. Helping us hit our shots that bit quicker, it also comes with 2-stage Holotech triggers, with a normal linear setting and also a hair trigger mode implemented by flicking the switches right here. Another Pro controller feature the D10 possesses is the 2 programmable back buttons. These allow for additional inputs while gaming, leading to greater movement as well as making things possible that otherwise would be difficult to pull off, unless you play claw that is. It also comes with mega tactile face buttons, which gives the high response of clicky face buttons, but also the cushion feel of membrane buttons, so the best of both worlds here. And rounding out the features, we of course have the RGB, which you can see front and center of the controller, helping it stand out. It also has 4 levels of vibration, 6 axis motion controls, a 1000 mAh internal battery, multi-platform functionality on PC, iOS and Android, as well as Nintendo Switch. It also has an exclusive Easy Pause D-pad, which is designed to give the fastest possible response time. And speaking of fast response times, those competitive players out there will be happy to know that the EasySMX D10 is rated to have a 1000Hz polling rate, helping us perform to our best possible level. So yeah, as I said at the beginning of this section, the D10 is stacked when it comes to features. giving us pretty much everything we could ask for in a Pro controller. But what can we do to set it to our playstyle, or indeed, is there any cosmetic changes we can make? Well, let's move on to the third review section, the customization.
But before we hop into this section, I just need to mention that I've noticed that most people who watch my videos aren't actually subscribed to the channel. Now, this really is the best way to help me keep making these kind of videos. It's easy, it's free, and it's the best way to support the channel. So if you would consider please subscribing, that would be awesome. But anyway, let's hop right into the customization.
In this area, the D10 is a little lackluster. There's no companion app to fine-tune your settings. There isn't any additional attachments like extra thumbsticks or reswappable faceplates. But we do have a few things to play with. Firstly, we have the RGB. It can be turned off completely if you're not really into that kind of thing, or you can cycle through the set animations or choose your preferred colour, which is pretty cool and helps the controller stand out. Additionally, when it comes to affecting gameplay, we have two customization options. Firstly, the back buttons, which you can bind to whichever button function you would prefer. And we also have the option of the trigger stops. Some prefer to maybe just use this function on one of the triggers, for example, so there is some flexibility on how you might wish to set up your controller. So again, in this section, it is a little bit lackluster. A companion app to fine-tune our dead zones would really elevate things here, but unfortunately, for now, this isn't the case. But how about we move on what you really want to hear about? How is the D10 in practice? How is it under use? Well, let's move on to our final section of this video, the playtest. To begin with, we have to talk about how it feels in hand, and for the most part, it's comfortable. Light, and thanks to the added texturing on the underside of the gamepad, the bumpers as well as on the triggers, it fits snugly in hand. Although, as mentioned, because of the lack of the rubberized side grips, if you do suffer from sweaty hands, much like myself, I did start to find it beginning to slip after a while of use. I'm a big fan of the TMR thumbsticks. They feel smooth, snappy, and perform well in shooters especially. And the fact that they are stick drift proof gives the controller some added durability. Touching on the face buttons, and as someone who is a big fan of clicky buttons, the hybrid style buttons they use here feel great to me. We get all the satisfaction of micro switch buttons with the cushiony comfort of membrane, which is pretty cool. With regard to the back paddles, I feel they are relatively well placed, fit my finger placement well, and I didn't have any unintended button presses. Although I am pretty used to using back paddles, so this probably contributes to this. I would say, however, that the actual shape of the buttons don't really complement the shape of the rest of the controller and could have been a little more refined. I would say the same when mentioning the triggers. Now don't get me wrong, in linear mode they feel fine, and when in the hair trigger setting, they do have a much reduced actuation time, and I do like the overall shape as well as the texturing. However, they do feel a little spongy, and once pulled to what I would imagine is the maximum, there is still a bit of give, which may be by design, but to me makes it seem a little loose, and as I mentioned, it could be a bit more refined. Touching on the D-pad, and I think it's pretty great, and it actually reminds me of the one found on the new Wolverine V Freeze. It performed well on the side-scrolling games that I tested it out on, and although I'm not much of a fighting game fan, I feel it could be pretty proficient in that setting. Now, I tested the D10 in a couple shooters, as these are probably the most popular games around, and in my opinion, the kind of games the D10 has been designed for. And throughout my playtest, I was very impressed. First and foremost because of the TMR thumbsticks. They just perform better than your usual Hall effect sticks. And as mentioned earlier, they feel smooth, and after using the Hall effects thumbsticks on other controllers recently, you can tell the difference in precision with the TMR sticks. Another benefit for shooters is the hair triggers. Now, they aren't the best I've ever used, but definitely make the difference in them clutch moments. The final thing I'm going to talk about here is the 1000Hz polling rate. For me, this has to be a standard for Pro controllers these days, and I'm super happy it is being implemented here. Competitively, it helps to give us the best chance to play at our best, and in the D10's case, in conjunction with the responsive thumbsticks, it certainly performs well in shooters, as well as the other genres I tried it out on.
So after 4 review areas, what are my overall thoughts on the D10 by EasySMX? Well, when it comes to value, there's no denying that you are getting quite a bit for your money. TMR thumbsticks, hair triggers, and 2 programmable back buttons give you everything you need in a Pro controller, while the added charging dock is a nice added extra. Despite not loving the complete aesthetic design, it certainly is eye-catching, and when you bundle in the RGB lighting, it certainly does stand out. Now, it isn't perfect by any means. The triggers and side grips are a little basic. Under use, it performed well, shining in shooters thanks to the TMR thumbsticks, hair triggers, and the 1000Hz polling rate. So in conclusion, The D10 comes with pretty much everything you would want from a Pro controller, headlined with the TMR thumbsticks. And in my opinion, this is my favourite EasySMX controller so far. But that's just my thoughts on the D10. I would love to hear what you guys think about it in the comments below, or any questions you might have about the controller. But that's it guys, that's the video. Thanks so much for watching. Remember to hit that like button and of course subscribe. Them buttons down below, you know what to do. Anyway guys, thanks so much and until next time, I'll catch us.